Well, hello, amazing ladies. Let us get set up here today. I am so excited to be here with you today on this fabulous Friday. I would love to hear what you guys are celebrating. I take every single day as I always write down 3 acknowledgements, 3 celebrations, and it is so beneficial in so many ways. I can't even begin. Well, I could begin to tell you, but this is not what this sorry, I'm trying to make sure I can see the chat if anybody's here. So this is not that's not what this is about. I can tell you how celebration helps us and helps move us forward, inspire us forward rather than motivate us, right? We often use this term motivation and like, where did I get the motivation? Where did my motivation go? And I know that a couple of weeks ago, I challenged everybody to move in inspiration rather than motivation. Inspiration will continue to move you forward. Your big why, like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why is it important for you to be this world changer, to be this trailblazer, to change your life, to change the lives of everyone around you? This is what we do here at the Next Level Life Purpose for female trailblazers, right? I have actually created a little tool to help you identify, I don't know, am I a trailblazer? Am I not? Am I a trailblazer out of my power, which is many of you, I would say the majority of you are. I would even bet all of you that are part of this group are, because that is what is attracted, what I attract, that is what I am. And we tend to attract people that are just like us. Yeah, you're a trailblazer. You are meant for something bigger. You are meant to create something bigger, whether it's a change in your company, a change in your life, a change in generational patterns, right? This is what you were meant for, and that's why you're in this group. So welcome, fellow trailblazer. So what we're going to be talking about here, again, as you hop on, even if you're watching the replay, when you hop on, just identify something that you're celebrating, something that you're proud of yourself for. I have a great, there's actually a blog that talks about how celebrating actually moves us forward, inspires us forward. So if you want it, DM me. I would love to send that to you so that you have something to read and sort of identify the importance of celebrating and why I do it every single day. There are 3 acknowledgements, basically 3 celebrations that I make every single day about just recognizing my progress and my forward movement. So we are here. I know many of you are wrapping up your week. Some of you are in Mexico. Some of you are traveling. Some of you are on vacation in Florida. And hopefully you will hear this exactly when you are meant to hear it. So today we are truly talking about looking at 5 very powerful tools for female leaders. So with that, we're going to look at it from a different space. This is about everything that we do is moving from the inside out, because that's the long-term gain. What I mean by that is that we make huge shifts internally to create the external shifts that we're looking at, okay? So there are so many different ways that we think about, and I would challenge you, how do you think about leadership? Like, what do you think is important in leadership? What have you seen throughout your experience that you know is not very, what I would consider beneficial leadership, inspirational leadership? I have had some of those myself. And it showed me all the things that I didn't want to do and gave me an idea of what I did want to do, how I did want to lead, how I do want to lead, right? Not did. I'm talking in the sense of like corporate world, and we can all be leaders, right? Let me identify that. Being in this group and looking at, am I a leader? What am I a leader of? I've had women who are leaders in their corporation, who are trailblazers in their corporation, and looking at how they can change the system, right? But first we looked at, how do we change that? How do we look at recognizing yourself authentically and all of your gifts and how you can utilize them to create the change, the massive change that you are meant to make, right? that comes from internal, that comes from within, you guys. So being able to see it clearly and see yourself clearly so that you can make those changes. So leaders, right? There are inspirational leaders, there are motivational speakers, there are female entrepreneurs that I work with. There are women in corporations, like they remind me of Sheryl Sandberg, because like, again, the movement of lean in and really seeing what we can create in the workforce. So looking at yourself clearly, right? So being able to truly see yourself as the leader that you are, the trailblazer that you are. A lot of times, and I talked about this the other week, is that and if you missed it, you're going to want to go back. I wish I could remember the topic of it, but it was like maybe 5 ways to know that you are a visionary. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. So if you're, a lot of times we're stuck as visionaries, as leaders, as female leaders, as to, we feel like we have this cap on us and we have to fit into this certain box. So I'm here today to talk about tools specifically for feminine leadership, and to look at how we can actually bust past and break through those limiting beliefs. And we're not meant to fit in a box, you guys. Trailblazers never fit in a box. That's why we feel like we never fit in. All right. People look at us like we're crazy. We're always like, something's off, because we are such, again, visionaries, that we see things, we see ideas, we see like movements before most people. So if that speaks to you, you're in the right space. So what are the tools? What are the powerful tools that you can use to be the feminine leader you came here and you were meant to be? So just like I was talking about, so the first thing is to tap in to your divine feminine. Okay. Think about all of the messages that we have received about leadership. What are some of the things that you've learned about leadership? Like, do you have to be stoic? Do you have to be hard? Do you have to be like, what were the what do I want to say, like role models that you have or that you had as you were growing up as to what leadership looked like, right? So a lot of times we get stuck into this masculine part of us because we think that we need to be, very like highly committed to our work, task oriented. And again, I'm not saying that those aren't like really important parts of us, right? The masculine is, there are times where we need to use those, right? Those skills, that part of us, that energy within us. Because I look at the divine feminine, it's all energy, right? So the divine feminine is something that we tap into that's already within us. The masculine part is already there to tap into. And some are more masculine than others, some are more feminine. But what I'm calling you to do, regardless, is to tap into the divine feminine. What do I mean by that? I mean, tap into your creation. We create things as women. We are creators. And we can create energetic shifts. We can create movements that move people, that move society forward, that shift so much in our world, so much in our life. And all we have to do is tap into that divine feminine. We're so focused on like, I have to grind. I have to, especially like I'm talking with even like female entrepreneurs, right? I can get very stuck in like, I keep on doing, I'm working really long hours. I'm really working hard. I'm doing all the things. I have my checklists, right? I have my checklists and I'm getting it all done, but something's still not happening. And this, again, within your company, within, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a motivational speaker and you are too much in a line, or like I think of it as like a scale, if you're too heavy on the masculine, you're not creating. And again, we are here to create. What the beauty is about tapping into the divine feminine is that we actually pull things towards us. So instead of running towards something, instead of grasping towards something, instead of hitting the pavement and doing all of these things, which again in moderation is great, we tap into the divine feminine and we imagine the world that we want to live in. We imagine it's manifestation, you guys. I'm just going to put it out there. So we imagine, the world we want to live in, the organization that we want to create, the, abundance that flows to us. So as a female leader, spending time doing that, just as you would the other tasks that need to get done in your organization as a CEO, as a leader, as an executive, whatever, wherever your title or your role, right, or your soul, and we'll get into that another time, lies, you want to make sure that you are also bringing in that divine feminine, that you're also, gosh, I can't think of the word, but nurturing. Hi, talk about female feminine nurturing. It is a characteristic that we have. Embrace it. Embrace it. That's what makes us amazing and beautiful, is this ability to nurture, but nurture that divine feminine part of us. A lot of times we are told to turn it off, that it doesn't work, that you can't make things from emotion, right? You don't want to be emotional when you make decisions. And I challenge that with like, okay, well, what about our intuition, which we'll get to. So tapping into the divine feminine is really seeing yourself and focusing in on the energy and almost like future casting, like this is the way that it's going to be. We don't have to know all the details. Actually, when we try to figure out all the details from our masculine, shit hits the fan. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way that it's meant to. We actually meddle in it. We start controlling things that aren't meant to be controlled. So all we have to do, and I know I keep on saying all we have to do, this is just what we have to do, is that hey Tammy, so we tap into that creation from an energetic standpoint, and it helps me to close my eyes. Like, do this with me, actually, we're going to tap into our divine feminine right now. So just take a moment wherever you are, breathe, take a deep breath in. And just allow yourself to tap into, to really embrace, like allow yourself to use your imagination, right? That creative part of you. First, we have to release all the limiting beliefs of like, this is stupid, any judgments, this isn't going to work for me. I don't know how I'm going to get there. Like we're releasing, just imagine them releasing. It's sort of like you're just dropping them right back into Mother Earth. Like she can have them, she can figure out what to do, but you're dropping all of those limiting beliefs of the house and all the tasks and all the judgments and just letting it wash away with each breath. Let it wash away. And coming from a place of like abundance, of unlimited ability to create exactly the life you want to create. Feeling into that, like, where are you? What are you doing? What are you doing with your day? Who's surrounding you? What do you do for inspiration? What are you wearing? And this is one of the most important parts. How do you feel about living that life? What is the feeling that you get when you reach up to your highest vision, however you're leading, movement you're creating, a book you might be writing, a business you might be building, change within an organization that you're so proud of, right? All of this really hone in. This is where our emotions help propel us forward, and actually doesn't even have, I mean, time collapses. I say propel us forward, but it's almost like bringing that future closer to us, right? We're bringing it in with this energy by visioning it, by feeling into it. This is where emotions are really powerful. And just breathing into that reality. So if it's happening right here and right now, you're living that life. One more deep breath in. Exhaling. And just putting that vision out into the universe. Slowly opening your eyes. That is one way to tap into the divine feminine, okay? As we feel into this vision that we have, we know that it is meant for us. We have such conviction it's actually happening that it pulls it towards us. It's almost effortless. All we have to do is envision and feel into it. It has to be consistently because, again, our conditioning of like, nope, it's supposed to be done a different way. You're wasting your time. You're not doing it right. Believe me, ladies, like I've been there. I have had the same thoughts. I can get wrapped up in the same thoughts. I don't have time for meditation or visualization. I need to respond to like the, 20 emails that I just got or the 50 DMs that I just got, right? Like we can get caught up in that, right? Especially when we are leaders, right? We feel like the masculine takes over. It's like, I have to get X, Y, and Z. And there's so many books out there that tell us like, we need to, before it hits like 7 o'clock, you should have responded to your emails and you should have done this. I mean, think about it. I have been guilty of that. Do you know that I've sent out emails at 3 a.m.? 3 a.m. And I was like, oh, no big deal. No big deal. What? Right? No, that was not me taking care of myself. That was me completely hijacked by my masculine, right? As I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. There's a sense of urgency. And don't get me wrong, again, there is a time and a place when we want to tap into the masculine. Right now is not that time, okay? So tap into that divine feminine. That is a tool for you to use, right? So if you have any questions about the divine feminine, let me know and I'll do a training on it to explain a little bit more about it. Probably a lot of bit more. So that is tool number 1 that is in your tool belt. Okay. We all have this ability. It's just actually doing it, tapping into it. And if you don't know how, let me know and I'm here to guide you. So that's number 1. Number 2 tool in our belt, or however you dress. I don't ever wear a belt, but tool that you have laying around within you is okay, hold on. This is a tool and it's actually a mindset shift. Okay. So this is a 2-in-1 thing. Failure. Yeah, you heard me right. Failure. When you think about failure being your tool, right? You probably want to just like book it, right? You're like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's off her rocker. She lost it. Anybody have that reaction? Hey, Natalie. So yeah, failure is a tool for us to use. We need to use it effectively. So when you think about like what comes up for you when you think about failure. I remember I was reading a book this morning. It was talking about failure and how it has been so ingrained in us that it's such a negative aspect. No wonder why we run away from it. No wonder why we don't do things because of fear of failure. Anybody else out there? 10 years. Didn't align with my big dream for 10 years because of fear of failure. Put a yes in the comments if you can relate to that, right? I would dip a little bit in and then I'd be like, oh, no, that's just too much. I can't do that. No, I'm not going to get out there like that, right? Because of this fear of failure. And I go back to when so let me just preface it. So reading this book, it talked about how we have been conditioned to believe that failure is this horrible thing, right? Think about it. You get accolades when you are doing well in school. You failed, you suck, basically, right? When you don't perform the way that you're supposed to, that somebody identifies you're supposed to. So being able to
excuse me, being able to recognize how ingrained it is. And of course, we're fearful of it because it's so ingrained. I remember I was talking to a woman this morning, and I was like, I remember when I was 10 years old. This is what this book brought up for me, right? The failure is when I was 10 years old, first time I ever, actually, it wasn't even failing, it was a B. I got a B and I got my butt kicked by my grandmother. She's like, how could you do this? How could you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And I was just like, holy crap. It was my first B ever. And she totally freaked out. And I felt ashamed. I felt like I wasn't good enough. That was not her intention. I know that she had her own stuff to deal with, right? She has her own limiting beliefs around achievement and stuff like that. And I'm grateful for her for, helping me recognize that achievement isn't everything. But anyways, that came later. So I remember her like really getting upset with me, literally beating my butt for getting a B. So from then on, it was a shame-based thing. I was so afraid and so shameful to actually identify, like, so I am not good at math. Anybody else? Anybody else not great at math? No, it might be your gift. It's not mine. Never, ever. So that was 5th grade. And then I started failing because I just didn't get it. I didn't get the concepts of math. My brain doesn't function that way. Talk about divine feminine. I am all creative, right-brained, okay? So being able to recognize how that impacted my identity or how it impacted my concept of failure is that we don't fail. So from there, I kept on, like, I got a B and then I got worse and I started failing. And then I was forging my mom's signature because I was petrified of my grandmother or my mother, like shaming me and hurting them and all of that stuff. So I kept it all in and shame, right? Of course, my mom found out. I wasn't very good at forging her signature and like later in 5th grade, not at all. So being able to see how that impacted me, but like, I'm sure my story is not the only one like that. Anybody else relate to like how they have looked at like failure? So looking at shifting that mindset, and Sarah Blakely, love her story. She had a family that loved failure, right? They would come home and their dad would be like, oh, what did you fail at today? Like, let's see, at least you went out there and tried. And that's when that you actually did something different. So as female leaders in leadership roles, in these roles of like changing the world around us and having this inspiration to go against the grain, a lot of times that's what trailblazers are. We go against the grain. We say, wait a minute, that's not right. There is something different that we can do. So being able to get out there and have that concept that Sarah Blakely had, and look at her now, right? Holy crap, right? I don't even know how much she's worth. I got to look that up later. But that money's not everything, but she's making huge changes in the world, and I love it. Right? The philanthropy that we can do with that. Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So failure, yeah, failure is a tool. Right? You get out there and you practice it and you put yourself out there and you recognize that it doesn't kill you. It actually, it creates this different way of thinking if we allow it to. Okay, so failure is a tool. What is it? The marvelous Miss Maisel. She has this, and I know that it came out a long time ago. I'm just catching up, you guys. I usually don't watch a lot of TV or a lot of like what do I want to say? Not sitcoms. So you can see my age. Series. But she goes through and she wants to, throw in the towel as she's becoming a comedian. And she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then finally she commits and she says, no, I'm going to do this. And I remember her agent was just like, you're going to go out there and you're going to bomb, right? You're going to bomb. And that's what I think of when I think of, you're going to go out there and fail. And guess what? Then you're going to find out what works and what doesn't work. How cool is that we get so many opportunities to figure out what works, right? So shifting that mindset, that is a powerful tool for feminine leaders, is failure, right? So just embrace that a little bit, feel into it a little bit. I'm surprised I still have a couple people with me listening. Oh my gosh, so funny. So anyway, so that's number 2. The third tool for feminine women is compassion. Okay. And again, when you think about this, it's what have you learned about compassion? Have you learned that it's a weakness to be compassionate? What have you learned? Have you learned that it doesn't motivate you? It doesn't push you forward, right? We have all of these different beliefs around compassion that actually prevents us from aligning with that. But guess what? Compassion is one of our superpowers. That is within us, and that divine feminine of being able to connect. And that's another one of our tools, but like being able to feel, to allow ourselves to feel what another person is feeling, right? Allow ourselves to, well, yeah, I'm just going to go into the other tool because they're so, they overlap so much, is connection, right? Compassion and connection. So I guess I can split it up as far as like compassion with ourselves as we allow ourselves to fail, right? Compassion, doing it in such a loving way, of seeing ourselves clearly, of like, I am this awesome spiritual being having this human experience, carrying out my purpose in this life. And I'm learning what works and what doesn't work, right? That's the mindset shift to sort of support failure when we go out there and keep trying. Okay. So with compassion, it's self-compassion. It is tapping in to ourselves and seeing ourselves for all that we are. And it's not, it's everything. It's everything that we go through. It's not just about feeling bad. Feeling bad for ourselves is not compassion. And that's where sometimes we get mixed up, right? It's like, I can't feel compassion because that's weakness. That's not accurate. I can't feel compassion because then I'm going to go into self-pity. That's not accurate. Self-pity is a woe is me. Self-compassion is, wow, you're a human trying all this out. Look at you, right? So it's being loving to yourself, not just during the times when you like are really feeling good. It's during the times that you have, right? You have went out there and maybe you bombed on stage, and it's going into a place of love and compassion rather than shame. Shame will keep us isolated. Shame will like throw us back. Shame will keep us from going out there and failing again and again until we are heard, until we see our vision truly come to its form, right? So being compassionate with yourself along this journey is so imperative. And there are so many different ways. So self-compassion, actually, it's compassion.org, is Kristen Neff. She is like the guru, the person for compassion. And I want to say it's compassion.org is her website. And she has so many different, or maybe it's selfcompassion.org. I can't remember, but she has so many different, she has a new book out. She has so many different meditations that you can take. It's just amazing to be able to tap into that. And I do my own self-compassion, right? The talk that I use, I often ask people, it's like, would you talk to your best friend like the way that you talk to yourself, or somebody that you really love? Would you talk to your daughter or your son like that? Would you talk to your loved one the way you talk to yourself? And the majority, right, would say no. The majority would say no. What about you guys? I hope maybe yes. Yes, I would. Maybe this is something that you've been working on, but this is a tool that we can use. We've been taught that it is, to be compassionate is a bit of a weakness, that it's selfish maybe, that it's not going to move you forward, right? There's a whole list of false beliefs around self-compassion that I have all the women that I work with take. Right? They take this, they shine a light on all these different false beliefs, and then we work on self-compassion and what that looks like, because we lead from a place of compassion. So self-compassion, and then it bleeds out, right? It doesn't have any other way to go. Not even bleeds out, it shines out to everyone else. People can tell when you are compassionate, right? They are drawn to you. And what kind of leader do you want to be? Right? I would like to be a compassionate leader. I am a compassionate leader. So being able to recognize that's actually a tool. It takes a lot of unlearning to be able to get there. But we need to know about what those beliefs are for us to move into that place of compassion, self-compassion. Okay. Fourth tool. I'll give you a couple guesses or like a couple hints. Okay. It's always with us. Always. It's our best friend, keeps us alive. He's looking out for us. It's our breath. Our breath is such a powerful tool. Okay. When we utilize our breath properly, it helps us to pause before we respond. It helps us to take that internal reflection before we make any external movements. It helps us to center. It helps us to use our wise mind. And for those of you who don't know what wise mind is, it is this blend between our logic mind or our reason mind and our emotion mind. It's a whole nother story. I can do a whole thing on mindfulness. That is something that I have taught on at conferences, that I have presented so many different places, like to 500 people. Love mindfulness. Breath is part of mindfulness. So being able to just be present with our breath, to know how to use it and how, like when we're contracted, right? Have you guys ever noticed when like you start holding your breath? Definitely working on this. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. So when we get into a place of fear or we're not sure what's going to happen, we hold our breath. And sometimes I'm doing this without even recognizing it. I don't even know that I'm holding on to it. So it's about being in tune with your breath so that you can release it. There are so many different breath work styles to use at different places to be able to release any kind of heaviness, to be able to release the any kind of blocks that might be preventing you from moving forward, fear or anything like that. But just simply taking a moment to focus on your breath. I want you to do it right now. How are you breathing? Are you breathing into your chest or are you breathing into your belly? Is your breath shallow? Is it fast? When you breathe, where do you imagine your breath going? Yes, this is a very cool technique that you can use. Little tip for you right now is that if you are looking for relaxation, if you're looking to take that pause, okay, there's two different ways to do this. For relaxation, right, you find yourself getting, way, emotionally just like frantic and spinning out, right? This is not being divinely, that's not our connection with our divine feminine. Divine feminine is our connection with our emotion, not to the point where it's spiraling us out. That's fear, that's conditioned self, that's frantic and scattered. Okay. So when I'm talking about like, overwhelming emotion that is not, conducive to what is happening in the moment. It's just, okay, you see, I'm breathing while you can't see. Put one hand over your stomach and one hand over your chest, over your heart, right? And you want to, when you take your inhale, I want you to inhale for 4, hold for 3, and exhale for 7, okay? And what we're going to be doing when we inhale is inhaling to our stomach and then our chest. Yeah, you heard me right. Because we're usually up here in our chest. Okay. So taking a deep breath in, holding for 3, and exhaling for 7. Right? Feeling your stomach contracting. That is how you want to breathe when you need relaxation, when you need to bring your emotions down some. And why? The exhale always has to be longer than the inhale. I don't want to say always, but the exhale here is longer than the inhale because the exhale is about relaxation. What you're exhaling, what you're disposing of, what you're releasing. Okay. And I used to do this. So, breathing during like maybe even heated, not even heated. I would get heated because I didn't agree with a lot of the things that were going on, in the corporate world. So for me, it was just, people wouldn't even know. So you could do square breathing, 4, 4, 4, 4, right? We're just paying attention to our breath. And those are just a few techniques. Our breath is literally a lifesaver. I mean, think about it, all it does for us. So why not understand how to use it? And during breath work, I mean, there are breath work sessions that I do during our during the program that helps release. And I mean, there's specific ones that you do to awaken the body, to relax the body, to release fear, right? Our breath is so amazing. And once we can harness that, we can utilize it. And it always brings us back to the most important moment of our lives, this moment, right? So being present is part of breathing too. It brings you back to just like grounding yourself. So that's another tool for you. And the last tool I already talked about a little bit because I was sort of weaving it into that compassion, but connection. Connection is part of the divine feminine too, where it is we are connecting with another soul. We are truly creating these connections with our staff, our employees, our co-founders, our community, right? We are meant to be in community. We are meant to be in connection. Okay, that is something that, I mean, sometimes some people identify with the pandemic that it really did bring us apart. And yes, there is an aspect of that. And it also brought us together in a different way, right? Think about what you're doing right now by watching me. You may not have ever known me if the pandemic didn't hit. Now, I'm not saying that, it's great that it happened. I'm just saying, just looking at it like this formed a different connection. I have connected with women all around the world over these past couple years, and I would not have done that. I wouldn't have. So really looking at now, going back to the bigger sense of connection, is there are so many studies that show being in connection, being in a tribe, being in a crew, part of like your connection with other people, that is actually what helps you survive. It is not survival of the fittest. It is survival in community and in connection. And to recognize that we are all sharing this experience on this world, at this planet, at this time. And that is the connection. That is one of the connections, right? And when we can also connect with emotion, there are so many different ways to connect, but emotionally, and this goes right back into the compassion, is being able to recognize like the universal language is emotion. I have felt sadness like somebody else has felt sadness, maybe for different reasons, but there's still that, like that's how we connect. Sadness, happiness, joy, right? Connect with the people that are important to you in your leadership, right? I know, and people would tell me all the time when I was in corporate, Leanne, you're wasting way too much time. They wanted me to cut off my divine feminine and tap into my masculine. And I will say there are moments that maybe I could have done that a little bit more, but my main concern was the welfare of the people that worked for me, for us, for the company. So yeah, my door would be revolving because I wanted to make sure that they felt heard and connected, and we problem solved, and I understood them on a deep level. And that's what I do with the women that I work with too, right? Creating this safe space of compassion and connection and creativity, right? This is what we're meant to do as female leaders. We see, I will go on a little rant. We see what the masculine leadership has left us. And it's time for a change. That is why we're being tapped on the shoulder. That is why you're showing up here today. That is why you feel this urge to do something more, because now is the time to do it. Now is the time for transition and transformation. And we are called upon to do this. So with that, connecting with your community, connecting with yourself, maybe you became disconnected, but connecting with yourself to say, what is important? Why is this important? Is there something more? Yeah, if you're here, yeah, there's something more. Okay, so being able to just embrace not part of that, all of that. I was going to say all of these parts are you, and you're embracing all of you. So again, the 5 tools to feminine leadership is really tapping into our divine feminine, right? Embracing all the things that we were told weren't good enough. Right? You're too emotional, you're too much, you're too compassionate, right? Or you're too creative, you think too big. We're embracing that and we're saying, hell yes, I am. Okay, tapping into that feminine, that bigger part of us that connects to everything and everyone in a compassionate way and creates, right? And so that's one tool, divine feminine. The other tool is failure. Yes, I said it. We want to get out there and we want to fail because that lets us know, we're trying, we're doing it. We're not trying, we're actually doing it. And we're recognizing, again, what works and what doesn't work and what's in alignment with us and what's not in alignment with us. What a beautiful process. The third thing is compassion. Self-compassion leads to compassion shining out to others, right? The fourth tool is breath. It's always with us. Learn how to use it. And the fifth thing is connection. Having that connection, that crew around you, your community, the people that matter to you, and having a true connection with them. And that is female leadership. That is a powerful tool that will move mountains. So I would love to hear one of the four tools, one of the 5 tools that you want to learn more about. What is something that you think you can benefit from learning more about? Is it the divine feminine? Is it the failure? Is it compassion? Is it breath, or is it connection? What is the thing that you want to work on? Maybe something that you find, I haven't had this, right? And not in a judgmental, in a very compassionate way, a curious way. I think I can tap into more of this. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. What is one thing that you are going to work towards, right? Not work on, work towards, embrace. How about that? What is one thing you're going to embrace that you want to embody? And put it in the comments. Let me know. If you're watching the replay, still put it in the comments. I go back and I look at it. And if you want to learn more, do not be afraid to direct message me. I love hearing from all of you. And just so you know, Kay, Essentially Zenful, Kay with Essentially Zenful, she'll be reaching out to a bunch of you. She reached out to a bunch of you already. I'm going to be reaching out to a bunch of you. I've already reached out to a bunch of you. And it's just something, it's our intention as female leaders to be able to reach out and connect with every single woman in this group. So don't worry, it's just us connecting with you. Do not fret. So I'm so grateful and honored that you chose to be with us today, be with me today on this amazing Friday, and make sure that you love on yourself this weekend and always. Sending you so much love and light. Mwah.